over 90 Tomahawk missiles tore through the Pacific skies at 550 miles per hour, each armed with a 1,000-pound warhead. Within moments, they slammed into Chinese air bases and command centers, crippling defenses before a single call for reinforcements could be made. April 3rd, 2025. China fired the first shot, convinced that its sprawling defense web, packed with HQ-9 missile batteries, swarms of J-16 fighter jets, and layers of radar coverage, could obliterate anything that dared breach Taiwan's surrounding seas. What Beijing failed to grasp was that its chosen target was the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, an American Leviathan at sea, a mobile nuclear fortress producing over 300 megawatts of power and orchestrating a network of stealth aircraft precision interceptors and advanced phased array detection systems. In just 72 hours, China lost over $5.7 billion. Its coastal defenses were obliterated and forces retreated 200 miles inland, shocked by the scale of their blunder. So how did this conflict unfold? And what chilling signal does it send to any nation eyeing a challenge to US power? Stay tuned. If you value sharp, fact-based military analysis, like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. It drives us to go even deeper. At 6:45 a.m. on April the 3rd, 2025, Chinese radars lit up. An ominous high-signature formation was slicing through the Taiwan Strait, just 80 nautical miles off their coast. The images were alarming, a swarm of US stealth drones, or sensor platforms, drifting too close to China's red line. Inside the PLA Southern Theater Command, panic turned to fury. Within minutes, the order came down: strike first. Confident their defenses were impenetrable, they unleashed HQ-9B missiles, deadly systems with 125-mile reach and radar-homing warheads. Fighter jets scrambled J-16s and J-11s armed with PL-15 missiles shot into the sky, turning the strait into a hunting ground. They were ready to kill. What they didn't know was they'd just walked into a trap. At the same time, near Xiamen and Shantou, Type 730 CIWS turrets whirled into action, spitting 200 rounds per minute. Locked onto the skies, they stood ready to shred anything that crossed into range. By 6:52 a.m., the sky erupted, dozens of Chinese missiles launched in unison, streaking toward radar contacts they believed were vulnerable drones or sensor nodes. But this was their critical error. Those massive signatures weren't decoys. They were the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, the most lethal mobile force on the planet. Powered by twin A-1B nuclear reactors, producing over 300 megawatts, the carrier commanded a combat network anchored by SPY-6, phased array radars, and Egypt baseline 10 systems, coordinating interceptors, jammers, and countermeasures with surgical precision. By choosing to strike without warning or diplomatic engagement, China didn't just act in defense. They unknowingly ignited a direct high-tech showdown with the full force of the US Navy, and within moments, they would discover what it means to underestimate a military that had spent decades preparing for this exact kind of conflict. Sounds unbelievable. Stay with us, because what happened next showed exactly why American carrier groups command fear across every sea. As the first wave of Chinese missiles ripped through the upper atmosphere at Mach 4, the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group was already locked into full combat mode. Onboard its twin A-1B nuclear reactors flooded every system, radars, launchers, catapults with relentless power. The SPY-6 radar scanning thousands of miles in every direction instantly tagged the incoming threats. In perfect sync, nearby, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers powered up their 96 vertical launch cells armed and ready. Aegis Baseline 10 fire control kicked in, calculating intercept solutions in milliseconds. The first line of defense erupted. SM-6 interceptors surged skyward at Mach 3.5, targeting Chinese HQ-9s over 230 miles out. Closer in Rim 162 ESSMs launched at Mach 4, hitting anything that slipped through. Inside that Rim 116 missiles weaved through the sky, guided by RF and infrared, wiping out strays. At the core, Phalanx CIWS unleashed 4,500 uranium rounds per minute, shredding anything left. Above it all, F-35C, Lightning IIs roared off the deck, loaded with smart munitions, climbing fast to establish a distant kill zone. Above the chaos, E-2D, advanced Hawkeyes, scanned the battlefield with long-range AESA radar, feeding real-time data to pilots and command centers. Despite the intensity of China's barrage, most missiles were destroyed mid-air or thrown off course by America's layered defense web. A handful exploded close enough to rattle the Ford's flight deck, shaking parked jets and crew, but no real damage was done. Within minutes, the strike group reformed under a dome of steel sensors and electronic warfare. What China thought would be a swift show of dominance had instead collided with the most sophisticated naval defense system ever created, an integrated machine of space-based tracking stealth aircraft destroyers and close-in guns working as one. And for Beijing, the real nightmare was just beginning. The price of China's gamble hit home fast. As HQ-9 and PL-15 missiles collapsed under America's layered shield, the counterstrike came swift and merciless. High above the strait, US F-35C, Lightning IIs, shielded by E-2D Hawkeyes, locked onto waves of Chinese J-16s and J-11s, many still lifting off near Xiamen and Shantou. Feeding on real-time targeting from SPY-6 radars and satellite links, the F-35Cs unleashed AMRAAM AIM-120Ds missiles with over 90 miles of reach and active radar seekers that gave Chinese pilots seconds, not choices. Explosions ripped the sky. Dozens of Chinese jets, valued at over $70 million apiece, spiraled into the sea or exploded mid-air, sending shockwaves of horror through PLA command bunkers. This wasn't just a battle, it was a message. Striking at American power risks more than jets or ships. It threatens your nation's credibility. One reckless move led to a devastating fallout. If you found this valuable, like the video and subscribe. Your support helps us keep covering the world's most critical flashpoints. Thank you for watching.